My fellow Bahamians and residents all across this great Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Today, as I greet you, the nation celebrates National Women's Day and the historical achievement of women's suffrage by Mary Ingram and her colleagues more than 58 years ago. The Bahamas Constitution Party recognizes this achievement as both historical and divine, which helped to usher in majority rule in 1967 and an extended form of independent internal self-governance and sovereignty in 1973, and wishes to congratulate the Bahamas' continued celebration of the work of the founding mothers and fathers in this regard. I am McIntosh, the servant leader of the Bahamas Constitution Party. As the first female to raise up a political party and lead it into general elections in the Bahamas, I am indeed humbled and privileged to be chosen by God to push the nation to the recognition of the original intent of the founding fathers and mothers for a truly independent sovereign state with peace and prosperity for all its citizens. The work of the Bahamas Constitution Party from its inception, and more so even now, has always borne the mark of authenticity of purpose and the credibility of the mandate, and now continues its work of servant leadership to guide the nation forward for the economic empowerment and its psychological, social, moral, and spiritual renewal of the Bahamian people. The BCP is a pure agenda, with strong, credible, and experienced leaders like Deputy Servant Leader Cornelius McKinney, our National Chairman Dwayne Hyler, our Advisory Board Chairman Apostle Dr. Agnes Clinton, and our mature Executive Leadership Council and youthful local constituency team leaders and candidates. Its 22-year tenure in Bahamian politics brings to the fore a determination for non-compliance to the oligarchic interest agenda, and has over the years refused to be sponsored or take the funding of those who has since time immemorial oppressed the masses of Black Bahamians. The BCP will never side with the oppressors, but will always push the need to bring the ordinary Bahamian to a place of prosperity and peace. This is evident of our stance over the years for landmark policies of constitutional democracy, like the Freedom of Information Act, Political Finance Campaign Reform, an Integrity Commission, an Independent Electoral Commission, Independent Ombudsman, Consumer Protection, and the transition of the nation's status to a republic style of governance, giving the nation a government for the people, by the people, with popular sovereignty. The BCP was there when there was no push for these agendas in the late 1990s into the early 20th century, making our stance a vision out of time. However, the time has come when the need and the vision for good and effective governance has become popular and is being driven by the Bahamians people's agenda, or their desire to see real change to propel the nation to a place of accountability and transparency. As we have heralded these powerful and weighty matters for more than 2 decades, it is apparent that it is the BCP's turn to guide the nation forward to achieve its dream for a truly authentic, sovereign, and prosperous state. Over the years, both I as an individual and the BCP as an organization have been privileged to support from the sidelines the activism of many worthy causes in the Bahamas that would push the Bahamian people into its destiny. In recent years, and leading up to the 2017 general elections, the BCP loudest cry were bringing both knowledge and recommendations for access to the natural resources, for the true diversification of the economy and the inheritance of the Bahamian people. This cry was mostly unheard because people were not ready for that which was readily theirs for the taking. However, the people are ready now, ready to be empowered, ready to be enriched, ready for their things now. Thus, the BCP supports, endorses, and stands squarely and strongly behind the move and agenda by activists United, Lincoln Bain, Kendall Colbert, KCX, Adrian Francis, Operation Sovereign Bahamas, and others to bring more knowledge and accountability regarding our natural resources. I wish to make special recognition of Prescott Smith of the Bahamas Natural Resources Foundation and the Bahamas Fly Fishing Association, who has labored long and hard in this regard for many years to bring light to these matters of the natural resources when there was little talk or knowledge of it. However, the work being done now by Lincoln Bain and others stands on the shoulder of Prescott Smith and is very critical to bring recognition and accountability to those oligarchic interests who have long cheated and defrauded the Bahamian people. The oligarchy have by legislation sought even to legitimize their rape and robbery of this country by the 1971 Ocean Key Act. In collaboration of the way forward, the repeal of this act have been suggested by the BCP and facilitated by Lincoln Bain, Maria Daxon, and Activists United on behalf of the Bahamian people. We do appreciate the courage of Pine Ridge MP Pastor Frederick McAlpine and Centerville MP Reese Chipman for making notice of their intent of moving and seconding the bill in Parliament. The BCP is even more appalled to declare that successive PLP and F&M administrations has facilitated the oligarchic interests over the past 4 decades to plunder and pillage the Bahamian people's inheritance, leaving the nation now heavily in debt and floundering on the edge of financial ruin, while Bahamians stand in line to receive paper bags of canned goods and dry food from some of the very hands that is taking their inheritance. I wish to categorically state that the BCP will never stand with the oppressors and believes that the God-given wealth of the Bahamas was put here for the Bahamian people to manage and empower themselves and source the world. As a government, the BCP will seek the prosecution of those who have committed fraud and larceny against the nation and seek a commission of inquiry regarding the almost 4 decades of wealth transfer of Bahamian resources without enumeration to our sovereign wealth fund. It will also be a determination of a BCP government when elected to turn the ship of state around 180 degrees in a direction that will bring both the nation and its people back to peace, order, and good governance, ordered by Article 52 of the Bahamian Constitution, the Bahamas Independence Order 1973. I wish to project that over the next few days, very early in the month of December, the Bahamas Constitution Party will present its long proposed economic recovery plan for the nation. This agenda, filled with the most creative and diversified ideas for economic empowerment of the nation and its people, will and hopes to electrify a people discouraged by the culture of corruption and malfeasance perpetrated by successive PLP and F&M administrations. As I prepare to conclude, I wish to state the serious hypocrisy of the present administration and the opposition in the legislature of the Bahamas. As we look at the presently and the recently passed non-profit organization bill, the NPO bill, while it has been touted to have widespread consultations with politicians and civil society organizations, the BCP is appalled that while this bill puts serious and painstaking measures upon NPOs and churches to comply with counterterrorism and money laundering measures, it has exempted political parties from any such measures. As I indicated earlier, the BCP has long stood for political finance campaign reform and wishes to condemn such measures by the establishment to absolve themselves from any accountability regarding where they get funding from for political campaigns. The BCP has committed to a full disclosure policy regarding political funding and seek to know from its large donors what is the favor they are seeking prior to accepting any donation, and that would be determinant as to whether the BCP accepts any donation from them. The BCP do not wish to be beholden to interests that does not reflect our dream and our desire for the Bahamian people and the empowerment of the Bahamian state. Therefore, our campaign may not look so glorious, but our message and intent is high priority. In this regard, the Bahamas Constitution Party continues to seek credible, honest, and righteous men and women who are prepared to honor the Bahamian people with their service to country above self. While this seems a meritorious idea, a BCP government is prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice of working with the Bahamian people while they endure the heaviness of higher unemployment and the country's high debt. Therefore, we are prepared to accept only qualified candidates that is prepared to take a pay cut from the beginning until the BCP is able to turn the country around towards a full diversification agenda for food security, Bahamian entrepreneurship, and the creation of well-paying manufacturing jobs as we head towards a greater economic recovery. If the Bahamian people must sacrifice, so should its leaders. I guess I can say that again. If the Bahamian people must sacrifice, so should its leaders. And certainly a BCP-led government will lead the way and guide the nation forward towards a new Bahamas, lined with the good values of self-discipline, industry, loyalty, unity, and an abiding national commitment projected by the Founding Fathers as criteria for leading the people and governing the nation. The BCP believes that with the help of God and the confidence of the Bahamian people, when elected, will enable the full Bahamian dream, allowing the next generation of indigenous Bahamians to flourish and to strive for better and best in a nation with a commitment to an abiding respect for Christian and spiritual values and the rule of law. As we prepare for general elections in short order, we can see, and the nation can certainly see, that both the PLP and the FNM must be rejected based on their undeniable involvement in systemic corruption and malfeasance, which robs both of them from moral authority to govern the nation and guide it into the future. The BCP has a collaborating agenda and has sat and talked with almost all the third parties towards presenting a united front towards a BCP-led coalition for good governance and experience strong and uncompromising integrous leadership for the nation. The BCP agenda is strong. The BCP mandate is powerful, and the BCP work to restore the Founding Fathers' intent is certainly sure, making the projection for our future and this our great Bahama land categorically undeniable under a BCP government. I now call for unity with members of other talented third-party agendas to unite against a corrupt establishment and a greedy oligarchy, to bring life and strength to a truly authentic and pure political opposition that will stand for the Bahamian people's right to peace and prosperity in the land of their birth. As the BCP leader, I wish to commend all those who have stood throughout the years and know that I could not have stood this long without the help of the Almighty God and His dream for the empowerment of the Bahamian people. without the prayers of the faithful and the leaders and candidates and people who have stood with me. I salute them all. I have stood this long because I was waiting for my sisters to stand in masses and for the youth to grow into the need for this powerful agenda, and for my brothers to see the need to include an equal share of both men and women for balanced governance and power sharing among all stakeholders. Again, I am Ali McIntosh, and this is my dream for a truly most blessed and most favored nation. As always, may God bless and keep safe all the people and the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Thank you so much for listening.